Happy Tuesday today, and happy Strength Day. We're going to take some strength down today, but we have a different type of format today. Very similar to the previous format, but we do have a slightly different take on our strength work in the near future for the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for that, and we're going to introduce a variation of it today. So there's a lot on the board, but it's a lot of just kind of guiding you through how it's taken down. So before we get to that, let's talk about the warm-up. The warm-up is pretty straightforward. Dynamic triangle, 3 to 5 a side. Sumo good morning for 5. Windmill of 3 to 5 a side. Plank to down dog of 3 to 5. And a single leg bridge march for 20 seconds. 1 to 2 rounds, you're going to use that just to get your body kind of moving around. Make sure things feel pretty good after that kind of marathon work set we did yesterday. And then you're going to move into a little practice round. And in the practice round, you're just going to touch on each movement in the workout, making sure that you are comfortable with the loading, movements that you're doing, variations of that movement if you need to change it up a little bit, but make sure you're good to go before you start the work set, because the work set is going to be pretty smooth and steady all the way through, but you do have a rest at the end of everything. So how this is going to go today, we're going to do 3 rounds of work, which is going to put you around that 22 and a half to 23 minutes of work. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of where we're living today with the time frame. With this work set, how it's going to go, we are going to do 30 seconds of back lunges per side with a 10-second transition in between sides, just like we were before. You can hold that dumbbell up under the chin. You can hold it suitcase, front rack, however you would like to do that. That's going to suit your needs the most. Please do so, and or keep you most balanced. Then you're going to have a 15-second transition. And that 15-second transition is just put your dumbbell down, get yourself set up, and then you're going to do a minute's worth of lateral ski plus vertical hops. And we're just taking these at a slow and steady pace. So this is not meant to be like high intensity. This is just meant to be steady, and it gives you a chance to work on the skill. And we're going to talk about that skill and that power output as we get going. But you're going to have 60 seconds to take that down. Again, not high intensity. Because we're going to use that next 15-second transition to get our dumbbell back in our hand. And we're going to do 30 seconds of bent rows with a 10-second transition between sides. 15-second transition, dumbbell goes down, going back to that lateral ski with hop, and then we're going to move into our 15-second rest transition, and then finish off with a single leg RDL for 30 seconds per side with that nice transition of 10 seconds between both sides. Now, after that single leg RDL, you're going to get a full minute off. So it's going to be pretty steady, then you get a full minute off, you get to relax for a few seconds, get yourself squared away, do what you got to do, and then you're going to repeat that sequence again. So remembering that our lateral ski plus vertical hop is not meant to be fast, it's not meant to jack your heart rate up super high, it's meant to work on some skill-based movement and get some of that lateral flow to vertical. So take your time, have some fun with this one, you guys. It's going to be a good day. We're going to get you guys moving, but first things first, let's warm up, have some fun. All right, you guys, let's get you warmed up. Let's get those feet under the hips. We're going to take the arms big and tall up overhead. Stretch it over to one side, come back through to the other side. Oh yeah, come back down, forward fold, touching those toes. We're going to walk up those shins, nice flat back. We'll frame a foot, step that foot back into your lizard, nice and square in those hips. Inside hand's going to reach up. We're going to rotate forearm to the floor. We'll take the arm up, rotate forearm to the floor, and one more time, take it up, and rotate forearm to the floor. We'll take that arm back up and bring the hand onto the foot. We're just going to lock the legs and turn the torso. Come back through, turn the torso, back through, and turn, and back through. We're going to lower the back knee, press the hip to center, press the hip, center, press the hip, back to center. Plant the hand, straighten the leg, step it back. We're just going to push one heel down and hold that position for 3, 2, switch side and hold for 3, 2, and just walk it once, walk it the second time. Nice and square in those hips. Inside hand reaches up. We're going to rotate, forearm to the floor. We'll come back up overhead. Rotate. Big stretch up. And rotate one last time. Big stretch up. Plant that hand. Set those legs. Turn the torso. Back to center. Turn the torso. Back to center. And turn. Back to center. Lower the knee. Press the hip. Come back through. Press the hip. Back through. And one more time. Press the hip. And back through. We'll plant that hand. Straighten the back leg. Step back into our down dog. Reaching those hips. Walking those heels. Nice and slow. Nice and steady. Okay, we'll come back into our plank. Pulling those ribs through. Pushing those shoulders up. Tiptoe those feet all the way up. We're going to roll ourselves up. Big stretch. Big reach. Big reach. Good. Bring those hands down. Let's get you guys fired up. If there's anything else you need to do for your body though, please pause the video, take that down, add that in for yourself, get yourself primed. We're going to go through that kind of general warm-up just to get you guys ready, and then we'll tackle those movements in the work set. Alright, we're going to start our day off today with some dynamic triangles. So again, just opening up the body, especially after yesterday. So we're going to get our feet into our sumo stance. We're going to turn a toe to the side, turn a toe on the angle. Hand to the thigh, and the other arm is going to reach way up to the ceiling. We're going to give ourselves a little engagement through the glute, and we're going to pull the hip back into that nice hinge. And then from here, we're going to come all the way back up, nice and stable overhead. Keep it pushing over the head, that reaching overhead body position, and then take that arm back up, nice and smooth. So again, this arm is set in that good position. Always reaching to the sky, the ribs are staying in, and we're initiating with that hinge. And as I hinge, my body angles, but the arm continues to reach upwards. So we want to really make sure that we're focusing on that key point of that arm always staying to the sky. Once we've done both sides, we're going to stay in our sumo stance. I'm going to turn the other direction so you guys can see my hinge from the side. We're going to squeeze and set the hips and glutes. We're going to pull the hips back so the knees soften, the big toe is down, and we hit that nice hinge so that my body hits that nice 90 degree or 45, depending on where my body will allow me to get to in that good hip hinge. So we're taking our time to really focus on that flat foot contact, drawing the hips back, and then standing up nice and tall to open up those hips to neutral. After we move through that sumo good morning, nice and slow, we're going to tackle that windmill again. So we get a nice chance to touch into that upper body, work on that rotation, and really take the time to hit that nice solid hamstring again. So we set the arm up like we had it in our dynamic triangle, armpit facing forward, nice and strong and set. I'm nice, solid reach towards the floor. I'm going to think about reaching my arms away from each other, or my hands away from each other. I draw the hips back and then start rotating through the low rib. As I constantly push that arm up to the ceiling, I get that nice overhead position, and then I come back up nice and smooth. So again, this is not a fast movement. I'm pulling and rotating at the same time, drawing myself back as I take my upper body down, and then slowly rising back up to that center position. Primary focus again is setting that shoulder so that armpit faces straight ahead the entire time. As we rotate through the torso, the arm changes direction, but we're not changing at the shoulder girdle, we're rotating at that low rib. So really focus in on that position. It's a challenging position, but just take it to your range that you feel comfortable with. It allows you to execute that good shoulder position. Last two movements, we take it to the floor. And we're going to move and just kind of use this as a chance to open up the upper back a little bit more. We have our plank to down dog. So we're going to get ourselves set up in that good plank position. Feet can be apart a little bit if you'd like. We're going to pull the ribs in, push the shoulders to the sky. And we're going to try and maintain that strong shoulder position as we pull back into that nice angle of the hip. I'm going to soften my knees a bit and my ankles so it allows me to focus on that hip angle and really opening up through the shoulders. If you'd like, we did some running yesterday, so you can add in a couple heel presses into that down dog, and then we just pull back into that nice plank position. Actively pulling back and up into that down dog. Pull yourself into that nice solid plank. We're always pressing through the arms as we transition from that down dog into that plank position. So really focus on that upper body. Let the hips and the legs and the lower half kind of follow suit as we stabilize through the upper shoulder. Last but not least, we're going to prime up the hamstrings and the core. So we're just going to get some heat there. We're going to lay on our back. Our feet are going to come underneath, just outside of my fingers. I'm going to take my arms up to the ceiling, and I'm going to push my shoulders to the sky. If you want, you can load this lightly, but we don't want to go too heavy. This is just warm up. What we're really after is just that engagement upwards towards the ceiling. We're going to pull our ribs in a little bit so we get that low back contact, and then we're going to push our feet into the floor to lift those hips up off the ground. We're going to continue to hold that position, and then we're going to lift the leg, and then put it down. Lift the leg, trying to stay as square as we can, and we're going to work on that nice single leg glute march as we work on reaching those arms to the ceiling and finding that instability, or that stability, in that unstable single leg position. And you're just going to walk it back one leg at a time for 20 seconds. We're focusing on not trying to get max reps here, but we're trying to give ourselves a moment down, and just taking our time with that. We're not looking for crazy amounts of reps. We're just looking for that time to build that stability through the core and through the lower half. As a quick recap, we have a dynamic triangle for 3 to 5 a side, Sumo good morning for 5 reps, a windmill for 35 reps, no, 3 to 5 reps per side, into a plank to down dog for 3 to 5, and a single leg bridge march for 20 seconds. Loaded or unloaded, but again, it's not about the loading, it's about the engagement through that upper back and making sure we're getting that protraction through the shoulder. 1 to 2 rounds, take that down. Give yourself that time to kind of give yourself that once over, feeling out the body from yesterday, seeing what you need to focus on a little bit more, and saying, oh, maybe that is a little tighter than I expected, or, ooh, that feels good. Who knows? But take your time. We're going to move into the movements of the workout to get you guys prepped and ready. We're going to start off our day today with some back lunges, and these back lunges can be loaded or unloaded. It's up to you. Every movement in this work set has a 3-second eccentric again, so we're keeping that kind of followed over from our work set prior throughout the month. So we're going to keep that negative. So depending on what you're comfortable with in this lunge will depend on whether or not you're going to load it or not. But if you are going to load it, you're going to either hold it under the goblet position, so under the chin. You can hold it Zercher style if you'd like as well, front rack and or suitcase. So any position you'd like to focus on, I'm fine with. Pick the position that's going to challenge you, but also allow you to execute good movement as well. Regardless of where we hold the dumbbell, it's not going to change the points of performance we're looking for in our back lunge. So with the back lunge, I'm going to stand profile for you guys so you guys can see my leg position. My feet right now are in their squat stance. They're a little wider, and I'm doing that so I have some balance when I step back. I'm going to step back with my foot, trying to figure out my distancing for that front leg. And that's the nice thing about the back lunge is we really have a chance to find the length of our step that we need. So once I get that step, I step, and then I lower down in that lunge, keeping this front knee over top of the heel, the back knee under the hip, under the shoulder. Nice and square, nice and tight. And then I stand tall and alternate. Or sorry, not alternate, but we'll do the same side. 30 seconds per side. So we set, step lower, keeping that glute tight, set, step lower, 3 seconds down, and stand. You can take that little mini transition in between reps as long as you need to. You're just trying to move nice and smoothly with that 3-second lower to the floor. Once you've done 30 seconds per side, you'll switch sides with that 10-second transition and repeat on the opposite side. So again, this is not about trying to go as fast as you can, but we're trying to move well with good quality, with that good tempo down towards the floor. Don't worry about taking it all the way down if you don't feel comfortable or controlled all the way down. You can take it as deep as you'd like and move from there. Now, if you're not comfortable with the dynamic lunge, with that step back, what we can do is we can set ourselves up in our squat stance. We can set up that step, and we can work on that nice standing lunge position. So we squeeze and set, and then we just work on going straight down, straight up, straight down, straight up. And we can load that or not as well, making sure that we're focusing on building our lunge and getting that lunge more solid and strong. Our next movement, we get our little dynamic action. So we're going to work on our lateral ski plus vertical hop. So you can do one of two things here. If the vertical hop kind of throws you off a little bit, we can build into that over time. But our lateral ski is something we've done quite a bit of in the past. So we want to use that kind of swing jumping action. So that swing reach, swing reach, swing reach. So that's our lateral ski jump. Again, if you're not a jumper, you don't have to jump. You can swing step, swing step, swing step. You could even drag that trailing leg behind you on the floor if you'd like to keep a little bit of stability and balance for yourself. Now the combo variation is that lateral ski to vertical hop. So what you're going to do is you're going to ski, hop, ski, hop, ski, hop. So you're going to work on that little hop to change directions in that vertical hop. So you notice I wasn't rushing that. I did my lateral ski, got that little pause, changed directions to the upward motion. So again, if you're not a jumper, you don't have to hop. You can ski, step, or hop, then change directions to a high knee and hand. Come back, high knee. Come back, high knee. So we're working on balance, we're working on changing directions into that vertical position, and really taking the time to work on that nice joint hybrid skill. So it's going to work on a lot of explosiveness, a lot of coordination, so take your time. It's not meant to gas you too much, it's just meant to be there for some nice, smooth, flowy movement in between our strength exercises. Once we're done that, you'll have a little rest, enough time to get your dumbbell. So then we're going to move into our upper body exercise, which is going to be our bent row. Our bent row today can be done a few different ways. Regardless of how we do it, the row is the same. We're going to kind of pull that dumbbell into our low rib, but we have a couple different variations. We can stand square in a squat stance or hip width stance. We can work on that hinge. So I hinge to that 45 degree, kind of like I'm doing a deadlift, but the dumbbell is going to hang straight below my shoulder. I'm going to pull the dumbbell back with that elbow into that nice low rib position and come down and hangs under the shoulder. Pull back and down. This hand is out there, keeping my body square and allowing me a little bit of extra control and tension. So it gives me a chance to work on keeping my body square to the front. Now another variation, we go in a staggered stance. So the hand I'm holding in the dumbbell is the leg that's going to go back. I'm going to get into this kind of like standing lunge drill almost. My knee is going to stay over top of my heel, except I'm going to pull my hip back so I get into that same hinge. My hips are square, my toes are pointing straight ahead, my hand can rest on my thigh, and then I'm going to do the same row. I'm going to pull the elbow back into my rib and come back down so the shoulder is over top of my hand. Pull in and down. Pull in and down. Then I come tall, switch sides, setting it up on the other side, hips are square, and I pull into that hinge position. So I get that nice soft knee in the back, bent knee in the front, good square, hinged body position for that row. So seeing as though we're doing some lunges in the first portion of our work set, that staggered stance might get a little fatigued doing that row in that position because you're in that kind of isometric lunge position. So you may want to opt today on that square stance position like the deadlift, or putting your knee on an apparatus and working on that bent row variation with support on an ottoman, a bench, or a chair, depending on what you would like. It's personal preference. However you want to take that down, you can do that bent row any way you'd like, 30 seconds per side. Again, we are working with a 3-second eccentric, so lowering the dumbbell back down to that extension, we are going to take 3 seconds to get there. Then you'll have 15 seconds of rest and transition to get the dumbbell out of the way. You'll move back into your lateral skis with vertical hop, working on that skill, working on kind of furthering that ability and keeping it at a pace that allows you to move well, but still just keep some heat in the body. Our last exercise of the day is our single leg RDL. So we're going to work on, again, some single leg strength, and we're going to work on heating up that hamstring. So with this, we can hold the dumbbell multiple ways. We can hold it to the front by both bells. We can hold it to the side of the leg that's being the kickstand, or we can hold it to the leg that's doing the work. Either one is great, all right? They all offer something slightly different to the body. We want to make sure that we're challenging ourselves and experiencing all these different three as we go through these over the weeks, but I want you to pick the one that allows you, again, to execute the best movement. So if you feel off balance, most people find that the double hand on the dumbbell or the kickstand leg keeps people a bit more balanced, opposed to the same side, same leg, which tends to pull us to that side. But again, personal preference, have some fun with it. If you always do the kickstand leg, maybe try the other side, all right? Change it up a little bit. But what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna hold the dumbbell to the front for demo so you guys can see my feet and where the dumbbell goes. I get myself in that kickstand, so my toe is on the floor, not doing a whole lot, but just there for some assistance and balance. My hips are square, my shoulders are back and tall. I'm gonna draw the hip back so the dumbbell stays close and the dumbbell just comes down to the knee, just below, and then I stand tall. So the dumbbell has this nice straight path down. My body gets that nice hinge, just like it did in our bent row. And I'm gonna move through that flow as I fire up that hamstring. So with this movement, we're looking for that hamstring, that sensation, to be in that upper hamstring, lower glute. All right, if you're feeling it down in that calf, we want to make sure that we're setting and squeezing at the top of each lift and each movement, so we reset the hip and keep those glutes engaged just slightly. Now again, we have 30 seconds per side with that 3-second eccentric. We have a 10-second transition in between legs, and then after that, you're going to finish off with a 60-second rest. So in that 60-second rest, you can do whatever you need to do, chill out, breathe, grab a sip of water, prime yourself up for that next phase of work, because it's going to be pretty steady. Even though there's those 15-second transitions in there, it doesn't give you a lot of time. It just gives you enough time to get yourself ready for the next exercise. All right? So again, quick recap. We have 3 rounds of work. Back lunge of 30 seconds per side with a 10-second transition. You can load it wherever you need to or not load it. 15-second transition. Lateral ski jump plus vertical hop of 60 seconds, just nice and dynamic back and forth. Not trying to crush your soul here, it's just movement, okay? Rest 15 seconds and transition. Get yourself set up for your bent row, 30 seconds per side with that 10-second transition. Rest 15 seconds. Lateral ski jump to vertical jump, or vertical hop, I should say, 60 seconds. Total count of just movement. Transition of 15 seconds to our single leg RDL, 30 seconds per side with that 10-second transition between legs, finishing off with a nice 60-second rest. Do it again. Now each of these movements has a 3-second eccentric, so it's going to be a little slower on that lowering phase to really own and open up that movement for yourself. I hope you enjoy, you guys. It's going to be a fun time. This format's going to stick with us for a little while. The movements, though, are going to change, as is that dynamic piece where the lateral ski jump is. That's going to change throughout the weeks as well and alternate through a few different phases. So let's have some fun. Let's work for quality and enjoy. We'll see you tomorrow for some more fun stuff, slightly higher heart rate. Bye, you guys.